Are we excited? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Heard That, the Beef Industry Podcast. Rick Machado almost smacked me in the mouth just a second ago when I did that introduction. He was like, what?
Wow, he's coming in hot, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
We're back with our, I would say our final episode for the season. No,
Yeah.
just for the quarter.
For the quarter, at
But
least.
we'll be back next quarter with one of the most... Jack's complaining. He wants us back every week. With one of the most successful, the most decorated, the most revered auctioneers in the United States of America. It's Rick Machado! I don't know why I introduced you like a wrestler just now.
Thank you. Well, I did the way you gave me the intro. That's the best one I've ever had. Can you go down the road with me and do this intro about every sale?
we could talk about it.
That'd be great.
Contract me.
It'd be worth it.
Yeah. And, as always, we have our faithful, very respectful, very revered, also beef professor, Dr. Zach McFarland. Zach, how have you been for the past couple weeks?
I'm just trying to survive at this point. I'm very excited to have Colonel Rick Machado joining us this evening. I've been wanting that for a very long time. We have such a great relationship with Rick here at Cal Poly, and, very well respected, very well deserved. I know, all joking aside, but very well deserved accolades for this young man.
We have a lot of fun here at Cal Poly.
We have a lot of fun.
Between the bull sale and the athletic department.
Yeah.
Quite a few fundraisers throughout the years.
Well, I'm going to get right into it. I don't want to hear about your history. Anyone who knows Rick Machado or wants to know about Rick Machado could Google that person, see what they find out. I want to hear the deeper side of the story. You said you had a lot of fun here at Cal Poly. Tell us about that relationship before we get into the beef industry side of things.
Well, just throughout the years, I wasn't a student here, but growing up just down the road here, I got to spend a lot of time up here. So through the course of years, between some of the rodeo activities and the beef activities, back with some of the old teachers and the feedlot and stuff like that, and working through, worked for Skinner Hardy years ago, and so I was able to come to the bull sale at an early age here and kind of maybe working out gate and some of that stuff. So just over time and being a native, fundraising activities, they have the big athletic departments, has their big fundraising sale in May at the Madonna Inn, and we've done that for an awful long time. That used to be here on campus, and now it's over there. But yeah, just a couple, 2 or 3 decades, on and off service to the school here.
Yeah.
And Zach, tell us a little bit about how the relationship started between you and Mr. Machado.
Yeah, so, when I first started at Cal Poly, I was basically handed bull test and our bull sale and said, figure it out, right? And luckily, the foundation was so strong, and Rick was essentially a godsend for me, being able to really think, okay, what is it we're trying to achieve here? What do you need as an auctioneer? What do our consigners need? What do our buyers need? So really has helped me change the program over the years in a positive way. Something as simple as, hey, we need to bring seating in here a little bit tighter, things that I don't think about, that really change the dynamic of a sale. He's invaluable from that perspective, but also the students, right? You really do have a passion for helping the students, and the students love to hear from him and get to interact with him. So it's all around. I mean, for me personally, even just the way you auctioneer at the Cal Poly Bull Sale, President Armstrong's here, and, he really knows the community, the campus community and the beef community in this area. So there's really nobody else that could be an auctioneer for us, quite frankly.
Thank you.
Yeah, heck yeah, of course. And it's just always special to have somebody that's so invested in a program and understands what we're trying to achieve.
And we're going to get straight into the auctioneering industry because as ag communicators, I'm an ag communications professor. Most of the students in the room are ag communication students, so I want them to understand what happens behind the scenes of an auction. Before you go on stage, what's the prep like? How's the atmosphere? What's the vibe? how do we get to that stage?
Yeah, there's, I can just say that I have the drive for it and the passion for it that I did 44 years ago when I first started. And depending on the sale, cattle, horses, whatever it may be, there's always a catalog. There's a knowledge that you need to gain of the people you're working for. You need to know their history, their product, their genetics. Are they passionate? They here for a long time or a short time? Sometimes that decides whether you take a job or not. But I study pretty hard. I'll go through catalogs. I guess because I do like it. I enjoy looking at livestock. I enjoy learning new, genetic lines and all the equations that are built into these catalogs here through different associations. But so I study them pretty hard, and then I'll try to walk the livestock. If it's bulls, if it's horses, I'll try to get a little insight. At some of the horse sales that I do, I'll talk to the consigners, find out a little bit more about the horse. But from an auctioneering standpoint, the guy that does the best job is the most knowledgeable about the product you're selling. And pretty simply said, and so regardless if it's real estate, if it's automobiles, if it's livestock, whatever it may be, the guy that knows the most about it sound is always nice, but in some ways I like to say it's secondary. I think product knowledge would probably be at the top of the list in order to do a good job and know value. If you know value,
and he's there, and it's not just a walkthrough, right? He's there for hours, and it's just speaking about Cal Poly, he comes and works with my student managers, says let's walk through the bulls. I want to see the sale catalog. Let's bring them off the hill.
I didn't used to say that. Now that I'm 61, I say bring them off the hill. We're going to do it.
Bring them down to me. So
bring them to me.
Hopefully he puts them to work. And
it's fun to work with the kids, and they'll ask me, what are you looking at? Well, I'm looking at structure and foot, and on top of everything that's in a catalog. And when we get to sale day, a lot of my customers are from around this area as well, so they'll come up and, hey, what'd you see? What do you think? Does this one work? There's a lot of questions. So if I have some answers, it helps add value to the sale.
Yeah.
So you might be inspiring a lot of young people to look towards being an auctioneer.
Mm-hmm.
What does the road to being an auctioneer look like, and how can someone who's probably never been an auctioneer and wants to be an auctioneer, what does the strategy behind that look like?
It's like a lot of professions, it's not easy. It's sure attainable, but I wasn't raised on a ranch, so my beginnings were in a Rio Grande and lived on the edge of the town, and rode my bike to the beach to work at a stables, and that's how it started, and riding horses. But as far as the auctioneering goes, my dad auctioneered a little bit, not professionally, and so he had a cattle truck. We'd go to auctions and go to pick up the cattle, and then we'd turn on the amplifier and kind of mock a sale, and I started when I was 12 or 13 kind of playing around with it. So just kind of developed a chant on my own, listened to a lot of other auctioneers when I really started kind of craving it in high school. So I would order tapes. I would tape other auctioneers I thought were good and try to get the little parts that I liked out of their chant. And there's schools for it. I did go to school in Kansas City, Missouri when I got out of high school. It was a 3-week course. I was already auctioneering quite a bit and already had my chant pretty defined, but I felt that there was probably a few people wouldn't hire me if I didn't have that diploma. So I went on and did it. I'm not sure that that's true, but at that time it felt like that. But yeah, it takes a lot of hard work. I mean, it is just selling. It's hearing somebody else you like. It's getting tapes. It's honing your skills. The thing that's so unique about auctioneers is that it's such an individual chant, and it's something that's what makes it so unique. Is everybody's got a different style. You afraid I'm going to spill that water?
Here
I go.
Getting animated,
and we're selling, right?
And so it's just there's a individualism of it, and everybody unique. They're picking these different filler words that are unique that kind of fit their so to speak their style.
Well, and his style, sorry to interrupt, Rick, but
No,
what I appreciate about the style is there's some comedic elements to it. And, you know, I remember specific moments sometimes from the bull sale, and you call out, hey, Eleanor, you know, specific individuals like, hey, you from Arroyo Grande, you're not bidding, come on in. And it's just, such a unique style to Rick that, you know, is refreshing because it is noticeable.
There's the whole idea of an auctioneer is, you know, rapid fire chant and the enthusiasm you create and expediting the sale. But there is a time in there where it can get a little too serious, and you can break that momentum with a comment to a customer, like as you're pointing out with Eleanor or somebody, or a funny thing that might have happened last night at the bakery sale, the fundraiser, or something like that. Just one little professor here bumped his truck into the wall over there. Nobody knew about it, but just something, you know, to kind of give him a little
minor details,
break the monotony a little bit of it, and kind of engage the crowd again. You know, there's a little bit of showmanship to that side of it.
I'll ask both of you this question, but I want to know from Zach's perspective.
Yeah.
Why is having an auctioneer at, say, a bull test, bull sale, vitally important for the progression of the beef industry?
Yeah, I think, you know, from my perspective, whether it's a bull sale or a feeder calf sale, no matter a horse sale, it doesn't really matter. At least in the livestock industry, there's still that element of it's a agricultural community event. It's a family event. So having somebody there that helps lead that charge and showcases the product, whatever that product may be, in a positive light, and getting that enthusiasm and engagement is still so crucial and critical. Even with the evolution of online sale platforms, you know, Rick can talk about his work with the Western video market and changing the face of, particularly on the West Coast and in California, you know, we have to think a little bit differently about how we market our calves. We don't live in Nebraska. We don't live down the road from a feedlot. And so how do we as producers in California or anywhere in the Western United States make our animals and our product the best that it can possibly be and incentivize a buyer? Why would I buy calves from California when I can buy calves from my neighbor down the road, right? There's definitely something to be said about that marketing strategy that relies on expert marketers like Rick as well as everybody in that side of the industry, livestock marketing.
And I'm going to transition it to you, like I mentioned before. Why do people keep calling you back over and over again, specifically from the perspective of, you know, the beef industry side? Why do you think people revere auctioneers to keep the beef industry active and alive?
Well, I think we all know it's the truest form of price discovery. I mean, we're having an auction, and you know, on that given day, this product is bringing that much, you know, because of this discovery, because of the auction process. So it's fair market value. So, and I hope that, to your other question, I hope they keep coming back to me because, as I said about the auctioneering, because I hope I'm the most knowledgeable guy. I am the guy that's adding the most value to their cattle. I'm the guy that is studying their genetics. I'm the guy that's maybe helping them with their vaccination protocol. And maybe I'm the guy that's, you know, talking about the market and, you know, whether they wean, whether they don't. There's a lot of conditions that add value. Third-party verifications, as I'm sure we'll probably get into. So there's just so many elements to it to add value to these cattle out here. And, you know, geographically, we're in one of the worst spots in the world to market cattle.
Really?
Out here. The next stop is Hawaii. So for these trucks, you know, there's a high majority of these cattle that go to the Midwest. There's a high majority go to the Northwest. We're fortunate we do have a big feedlot, you know, within 100 and some miles here, and we're fortunate of that. But they can't handle all the cattle. You know,
right.
California produces a lot of livestock. So we've got for two reasons, because of our geographical location and freight being a big part of the equation. It's a lot of freight to get to the Midwest, 15 cents a pound. So that, coupled with being a winter grazing state without snow, we have these calves born in the fall, and we have the biggest, juiciest calves in maybe all of America. There's a few other regions that do as well. So they're big, fleshy calves. The good genetics, some of the greatest genetics are out here in the West. But we do have a kind of a product that they always want to buy more conditioned, thinner calves, and everybody's got a way of putting on weight cheaper than the other guys. So we've got a big, pretty calf, and we're further away from everybody. So we've got to do a lot of work to get them sold.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You were going to chime in with something, Zach?
No, it's just, I think Rick really kind of understands so well, certainly more than me, all of these different factors that relate to selling cattle and selling livestock in general that, the average person will not necessarily understand. And so what I keyed in on that Rick talked about, but was too modest to say, is he's an educator, really and truly. You're educating not only beef industry professionals, like, hey, here's where I see the market going, here's something that I think can add value to you, and here's how you can accomplish that. Let me showcase and let me show you some of these elements that can help you be more profitable. And that alone showcases the value of auctioneers.
And I just want to take a second to switch to the kitchen. The beef is on. The beef is on, baby. Thanks to Captain Jack Madden. Show your hand, sir. Oh, he's taking off his glove. Sorry, you were on camera for a hot second. Thanks for throwing that beef on there. And this is part of the process. We do try to keep it real on this podcast. We bring the beef in, different styles, different cooking preparations, different cuts, every time we do an episode. So
why don't you have me more often then?
I heard you're expensive, man. Like you're too expensive.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. And that's
might have a new co-host.
You might have a new
kick me out.
I mean, you know where we are. You know where we live. We set up for you. Just come in.
Yeah.
The Rick Machado Show? Sorry, Zach.
Zach gets a couple more kids, I'll be filling in more often than you think.
Hey, I think our ranch stories that we had kind of talked about, we might do a ranch story episode and just fill up this table with local ranchers and talk about,
fun.
Don't you think?
That would be great. You know, just let them unwind. That would be a good format.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have it in the works. We just have to get the people here. Yeah. We did hear some really good stories from past guests about their ranch stories.
Sure.
So I just want to transition back to the idea that, the person who knows the most does it the best. That's the person that everyone wants to sell their cattle. And I just want to say that that's a reflection of most industries, like you mentioned. And, we here on the ag communication side, we want to be as polished as possible when we release information about the beef industry or any industry in the ag sector. And so we appreciate that. You have to be the bestest, fastest, mostest.
Yeah.
That's a quote from one of the business books that I've read. I can't remember the author right now. But Zach, I want to come back to you, right? Culturally, what's been the historical perspective or evolution, rather, of auctioneers, if you have any information on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rick can speak to this too. Even I was actually talking about it in class this week. I was talking to Rick before that. I've been very lucky to partner with Rick and Holly Foster and others at Western Video Market because they're huge supporters of 4-H and FFA, and particularly the state and national FFA livestock judging competition. There is an element of livestock marketing within some of those competitions, so they're educating young people as well. And so thinking about it from that perspective, one of the things we talked about is the evolution of Colonel. So a lot of people don't understand why I refer to him as Colonel Rick Machado. And, there's definitely some history about, during the Civil War when colonels were selling products, however they got them, taken from some local community and sold off in the military, and that's still, I think, you could probably speak.
Old artillery and stuff when they were phasing out different divisions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
What kind of beef is that right now? Could you give us a switch to the kitchen?
Oh, a porterhouse on there.
It's a Captain P, porterhouse over there.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get into that in a hot second. What is it? T-bones. We were lying all along.
I lied.
We were lying.
They told me I was going to get a porterhouse. Dang it. T-bone's good enough, huh?
Yeah, that'll work.
Maybe a little smaller on that side. Yeah. Well, bummer.
And you know, Rick, could you describe the video market side? Like, this is the first I'm hearing about this type of technology, and that's what I do day in, day out.
Sure.
Describe that for us.
So I would have grown up in traditional brick and mortar sale barns, where they all of the local people kind of hauled their cattle into these sale barns, and they were sorted and classified up, and they're hauled in on trucks, unloaded, sorted, and auctioned off to you typically on a weekly basis. Sometimes it's a little longer than that, but and now we've kind of come into this video era in the last 30 years, getting really big in the last 10 or 15, where we'll come right out to the ranch and film these commercial cattle, and have a representative that will kind of help that rancher again, kind of converse and get the records and the vaccination protocol. Depending on the time of year, they need to be truckload lots, and we'll film these cattle, and you're able to actually forward contract them. So we'll put them up, put them on video, edit the tape, put conditions and a contract tied to them with a base weight, a rancher's name, a location, a delivery window, typically 2 to 3 weeks. But it allows these people an opportunity to sell them as far out as they want. Whereas traditionally, the day you're done and ready to ship, you hauled them all in there and you got your check, regardless of what the market was doing. This way, you can kind of pick your spot in this market and get an opportunity to forward contract, and the cattle haven't left their origin until the destination, or until the delivery window. So we'll put them up, and they'll go on satellite, and there's just thousands and thousands and thousands of buyers. We expose them to the world, these cattle, to just American market, and it's just unbelievable how it's kicked off. They're able to get what is a little bit more of a fresher calf or yearling, because they're going right from the ranch to the feedlot, to their destination, unlike unloading and going through the sale barn process. Sale barns are great. They have their place, but the videos a little bit catered to a little larger producer, because you have to have a whole truckload. But
which
just
is
the exposure,
45 to 50,000 pounds for those
Oh my
that don't,
gosh.
calf, right? So
right, and that's typically if we have on an average year, 650 or 700 pound calves. So it takes 70 to 75 to make a load, typically, depending on what they weigh. But just offering them to a broader market, you're offering them to everybody, and these feedlot operators are sitting in their office, and they may bid on the phone, they may bid on the computer. We have a click to bid system where they can bid on the computer, and it's just tried and proven. I mean, it's just really a consistent way, and I still help at some of the local brick and mortar auction barns, but my main push is the video, and that's kind of where I'm the lead auctioneer with Western Video Market. But
and the brick and mortar. Sorry to interrupt, Moses,
No worries.
You talked about culturally, and Rick spoke to it, right? A lot of these auction barns, I remember growing up going to the Shasta Livestock barn up there in Cottonwood, California, and the Peak family, Ellington
Absolutely.
and Brad, and they're working very diligently with Western Video Market over the years.
I started at some local markets here, and then I ended up going to work full time at Shasta, like in 1990, and so I was there 8 or 10 years full time, and then kind of spotty. I'd go up there when they had real big sales, but
I used to go with my dad to it was an event, right? That's what these auction barns and
Like a
even
community event,
yeah,
right?
it's definitely a
Biggest
community
sale
event.
at that time. Even was biggest sale west of the Rockies,
Yeah.
and maybe even beyond that. So it was a very big marketing terminal, and the Peak family did a fantastic job with it.
And a damn good breakfast if I
And
do it.
they still have the good
They
breakfast.
do.
Really?
Oh man.
And we
You got to take me to these places,
There's nothing.
Zach.
There's the best breakfast you will ever have is at an auction barn. Marana Stockyards.
Sure.
The,
And our Western Video Market, our video company, still headquarters in that old auction brick and mortar facility there with the cafe and everything.
which is
So our
unique.
headquarters. Yeah, it is.
That's
It
very
is.
unique still, having the history. I mean, I took students to the Oklahoma Stockyards there in Oklahoma City, and there's just such a history and a culture there that even if they're not having a live sale, you know, if there's a
Absolutely.
video sale, there's still that cultural element that
Those
gets
old
people excited.
Terminals are just unbelievable.
Yep.
Their size, their scale, and how many, you know, I don't know if it's a century or how long they've been in existence,
Yeah.
but it's a long time. And I mean, there's a lot of the same lumber and corrals there that was probably there in the beginning
they
if it hadn't
started.
burned down. But those big terminals like that are unbelievable to experience.
Yeah.
So you talked a lot about the vaccination protocols, and you said that I get the sense that that's very important. Is that true to say?
It is very important.
tell us a
I mean,
little bit
there's,
about
you know,
that.
and you're referring to marketing, and I mean, I think genetics are very important, you know, having good cattle. But I would go a step further and say proper vaccination protocol. You can buy all the correct vaccine in the world, but if you're not given it properly, you know, it probably doesn't have as much basis. And there's been a lot of schooling on that and educational forums on that about giving these shots proper and handle them in the right temperatures and all that. But yes, vaccination is extremely important. You know, just husbandry practices in general. You know, setting these cattle up, lower stress environment. That's extremely important now. This docility has become such an important part of it. I think in the old days nobody ever worried about it, but if you send a set of cattle, we load them here in Morro Bay, California, and they go back to Holyoke, Colorado, and they get off the truck and they're a little bit wild and they run to the back of the pen and don't want to come up to the manger because of the activity of the feed wagon and the people cleaning mangers. You know, they're probably going to get sick. So the manageable, stress-free, you know, docile type cattle with the vaccination protocol, with the good genetics, is all these things you can do to add value to cattle.
And I know you mentioned it a little bit. Like, can you describe what good genetics look like on a cattle?
Well, look like, or just staying. There's all the breed associations have EPDs, expected progeny differences, and you can compare different genetics for performance, for carcass value. There's even genetic scores now, markers. You know, genes that you can if you want to pick performance or maternal or carcass, marbling, even getting into. I'll let him talk about some of the.
He knows exactly what he's talking about. He knows.
I think there's just so many ways to separate genetics depending on your situation. If you're building your herd and you want it to be maternal, you know, but really there's so much data out there now. I said it earlier today, but I don't want to sound redundant, but you kind of can have it all if you can afford it, you know, through selection, and I think that's what people have to be cognizant of.
But I also think Rick talked about this earlier. You know, structural soundness of those phenotypes, those visual expressions of genetic potential, right? So whether that be hide color, weight, you know, just because an animal has the data and, you know, the genetic markers. So we've gone, it's the revolution and the evolution of genetic technologies is just so incredibly impressive and important. But there's nothing, that's not to say that what's happening in the actual animal as you move them around a ring and watch their their gait and you are
We
able to
still-
study their.
We're still, I don't mean to cut you out, we're
No,
still raising
please,
these in a
yeah.
range environment. So structurally, they've got to go make a living out in the hills. So if their feet are bad or their joints are bad or whatever might limit them to get out and graze, it's going to affect their performance and their longevity from a female side, their longevity in a herd, right? So
Yep.
structure is very important. We've kind of, the last 6, 8, 10 years with all of this, these numbers that have been thrown at us, and I think you were headed there, we've kind of gotten away from, some of us have gotten away from looking at the cattle, and you really got to have it all.
It's a balance, yeah.
It is a balance.
And you talked about docility. I mean, I was working with my graduate students and some colleagues earlier this afternoon, and we were looking at some data about feeding behavior at the feed bunks at the Cal Poly Bull Test, and looking at how the behavior of that animal at the feed bunk relates to feed efficiency. So, some of our preliminary data seems to indicate that a more docile animal and a less aggressive or dominant animal is more feed efficient. And so we're still really early stages in the data analysis, but a less feed efficient bull is spending more total time at the feed bunk. They're visiting more frequently. And what we think may be happening is that, some of these more dominant bulls are basically getting to the feed bunk and saying, get out of my way. And I want to be at the feed bunk and eat more because you also want to eat more. So there's that level of competition.
I'll be darn dominance.
Yeah, so that I've been really fascinated by behavior. So that just kind of made me think, how does behavior relate to long-term performance? We often overlook behavior as an element because it definitely has a link to growth performance and feed efficiency, but we often overlook it from that point of view. We're like, oh, they're more docile, they're easier to work with. But there's also potentially other implications that I think are really cool.
And that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to check back in with the kitchen right now. Are they coming out?
Oh,
I think they're sampling.
Here they come. I'm going to ask production to swing the camera up for the chefs to come in. Going to get the mics out of the way, so if it's one thing that I know, Samir and Jack treats us so well when we do our productions in here. Come on through.
Wow.
family style, Rick. Family style.
Wow.
We only do family over here. Dr. Amin.
Yes. So tonight we've prepared miso rubbed seared T-bone. Sorry, I know I can speak. It's the end of the quarter. So we sous vide the T-bone. When it came out, we put a little bit of white miso paste on it, and then we seared it off. The miso should give it a little bit of an extra umami pop to it. And on top of that, we've got a green sauce, which is kind of a take on a chimichurri. Herbs, garlic, a little bit of
Smells pretty
pistachio,
darn good.
red wine vinegar, olive oil, and we're serving that with it's barley risotto.
What?
Interesting.
It's an asparagus barley risotto. So we cook the barley similar to how we would do a risotto. So we've stirred it, we've added in the liquid, and then we add some butter and Parmesan in there. And we cheated a little bit because we put a little bit of a bechamel in there to make sure it's nice and creamy. And then at the end, we've got a little green salad with a lemon Dijon vinaigrette and caramelized onions on it.
Don't worry, we take care of our
Enjoy.
guests.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you so much,
Amin.
Amin and Dr. Amin. And the one thing I want to say is, Dr. Amin says really wild things. I don't know what half the things he says, but it looks delicious.
Bechamel.
Yeah, it sounds like a puppy name or something.
Bechamel is just a thickened, it's a sauce, it's a milk sauce thickened with flour and butter.
Love it. French.
Love it.
Yeah, we got
All right.
that part.
So before we get in here, I'm going to ask one of my
gonna
students
eat.
to
We
come on
gonna
over
eat.
and. Is there extra for us over here? For them over? Okay, you got it.
Sure. here.
there's plenty here. We just like to take care of our students first before we dig
yeah.
in. But fortunately for us, they have their own.
Oh, good.
So in the meantime, I'm gonna ask the following question, and any one of you could jump. Actually, I'm gonna make this a pointed question.
Ooh, talk to
Zach.
Rick. Talk to Rick.
Dr. Rick. Rick, what's your best story of you being on the road as an auctioneer?
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
What do you have out
My
there?
Best story. I'm going to have to think about that. I mean, I've got quite a few of them, but we had a good one this week. We sold a bull two days ago at Spring Cove,
Yes, at Spring
Angus
Cove,
in Bliss,
yeah.
Idaho, for $400,000.
You're what?
Yes,
400K?
400,000. Yes.
We might have to hear a little bit of his chant
mean-
tonight.
I didn't want to put any pressure on you,
No.
but I would love to get the face-up experience of it. 400,000?
Yes.
Record?
Yes. No, not a record. No, but
Not a record?
certainly
For their
this-
operation?
For their operation, it was a record.
Cool.
It was probably one of the top 2 or 3 bulls sold this spring so far. In the nation.
Wow.
So yeah, really good.
Pretty
Did
special
not,
for them.
I did not know that bull prices get that high. Like I'm not
even
kidding.
higher, depending.
Yeah, no, they get higher. He'll probably never see a blade of grass, so
Oh
he'll just be.
boy.
He'll be working.
I'm gonna let you explain that.
Yeah. We might next episode we'll talk about bull studs and artificial insemination.
Yeah, we gotta keep the fans coming back. you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
And then
Rick,
Zach,
dish up some meat,
Okay.
and so I can
Yeah.
address it too, I guess.
what's your most memorable story about the Rick Machado that you enjoy?
Some of the guys I travel with that have plenty of stories. to
Yeah,
tell, I'll
we
tell you.
might have to
Some
have
of
a-
them wouldn't be able to tell.
The what is it called? The PG
The
rated.
PG
Yeah.
version, I can do that. To be honest, almost every memory post sale, either eating or grabbing a drink with Rick after the sale, even before the sale, kind of helped me de-stress a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Rick always kind of helps me brainstorm and figure out how to deal with any fires that I need to put out pre or post sale, and
He gets a lot of darts thrown at him, and not for all the right reasons. He's extremely good to work with. He's open-minded and he's very fair, and I
Well,
think
thank
that's
you.
what all his customers need to know. I think his students would get that and would know that. But
I hope so.
Of all the places I go, I mean, he's just one of the real fun guys to work with. And there's a serious component to it where we've got to do our business, but
Yeah.
but we can talk like this about each other, and we can visit about different circumstances and how you approach this and that. And I try to head some of the stuff off that might be coming to him, or give him a heads up.
or give me a heads up. Yeah, even
But,
the group. I think the more fun
last
ones are
fall.
the group texts that we have
with
with.
all our field representatives, and Matt
Those are always-
McFarland, Logan Ibsen, Jared Patterson, all the guys. We kind of had a lot of fun.
It's a very fun group that
Well,
cares a lot.
let's try this and see what comes up.
Give our verdict to.
I've never had, what's it called? Barley risotto? Not barley. Barley risotto?
Barley risotto.
Smells good. Smells good for sure.
It is good.
Dang
Whoa.
it, Samir. That chimichurri, your
Yeah,
little yeehaw. Well,
It's perfect. Not too much bite. It's just
chimichurri adjacent. I like that. Don't worry, Rick. I told you I'd take care of you.
yeah.
And by I mean Samir.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Do you all
as
have
always.
risotto over there?
Are we live? We going to 2 million viewers?
Don't
right
worry,
now?
he
Are
can
we
edit.
live,
He
or-
can edit
Do
everything.
that and everything.
What did we do last time where it was like a chew into the mic?
Yeah, ASMR.
Yeah, people make money doing that. I had no idea that was a thing. Did we find out what ASMR means?
What is it?
Oh,
About ASMR?
What
Just
is that? I don't even know.
it's
people.
audio, visual, something.
Yeah, it's like a
Auditory, something.
sensory something.
Autonomous sensory meridian response.
So basically, people like to hear people eat or make. I don't know.
Oh, I know where you're headed. Okay. All right. Yes.
So,
Okay.
moving on.
About that. Oh boy. I don't think I want to either.
Yeah. Did you guys get to try anything yet? Oh, you're working.
You know, as we chow down here and wind up the episode, I have to ask, what does the future look like for the king of auctioneering, Rick Machado?
Wow.
World champion.
You know, I've never been asked that. I appreciate that question, actually. I've always said that. I mean, the traveling is getting to me a little bit, but I enjoy what I do. I'm so lucky to enjoy what I do so much that, you know, I'm excited to get to where I'm going. I'm excited to do somebody a good job, or just that they include me or think enough to include me. But I think it looks pretty bright for me. I don't plan on giving up any wind in my sail, and,
Good.
and I mean they're gonna get 12 or so years out of me of good hard production sales. So maybe a little longer even here locally. But
We hope so.
No, I think it's really, you work your whole lifetime, and at some point the knowledge, the maturity, the experiences get you to a level where it does get easier. I would say that I can honestly say before every sale, I still have a little nervous factor. And I think
It doesn't go away, right?
It doesn't go away, and I think that's a good thing, you know. And whether that's that you're totally prepared, you know, your voice is in good shape, whatever it might be, the weather, the crowd, the market, you know, there's all these conditions. But I think as long as I have that spark and try to have everything lined up in a row before we get underway, I think I don't think I'm going anywhere, and as long as I got the gas in the tank, I'm going to keep doing it.
That's such a fantastic response. And Zach, you're going to close us out. If Rick Machado ever retires,
He's going to have to learn how to auctioneer pretty quick.
You know, I flirted with the idea, but I get messed up when I'm in class sometimes. I'm like, my brain works too quickly sometimes. It's such a skill and an art. It really is an art. And I might have to force Colonel Rick Machado to give a little chant here at the end.
Yeah.
But you know, not to put the pressure back on Rick, but where do you see the beef industry going in the next, 10 years? Because I think we've had these deep philosophical questions and discussions before, just over.
Yeah, we have. And I think it's in really strong hands. I think most of the people we do business with, like particularly in the cow-calf sector, I think it's in really strong hands. And there's always less ground, right? It doesn't matter if it's in the West out here or wherever it may be.
Finite resources,
these kind of crazy weather patterns where it used to be that it seemed like a drought was more regional. Now it's kind of broader scaled. So, and I just think with the sheer numbers that we're looking at, there's more people every day. We're raising and we're managing, and our husbandry practices and our genetics and our regulation and protocol is the best it's ever been. I mean, people have a real craving for American beef,
absolutely.
internationally, and I think that's going to keep us right at the pinnacle. So I'm real optimistic long term. I really am. If it's pretty hard. It's not like chickens or hogs. We can't lock them in a cage and feed them 365 days. They got to have this rangeland to really, to turn this grasses into a real wholesome, protein. And so I'm real confident that because of the numbers and because of our international markets, as well as domestically here, the demand for high grade, high premium beef, I think we're in a real good place.
Hit us with one chant before we close out.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't mind.
What would you like?
Little chant,
A little
little
chant.
cadence.
Okay. 1 1 1 2 2 2 2 2 3 300 and 300 400 here 500 here 600 700 here to 800 here to 900 here to 1000 here to 1100 1100 12 1200 to 1300 to 14 15 1500 to 1600 to 1700 to 18 1800 to 1900 when you get to 200,000 to 200 here to 200 here to 2,000 and 2,100 to 200 been back here 300 to 4 it's 4 here now 500 to 2,600 to 7 sold it 2,600.
Thank you so much, Rick Machado.
Thank you for having me.
Heard That was created by Zach McFarlane and Moses Mack. Producers for the show included Moses Mack, Zach McFarlane, Samir Amin, and Anna Khan. Guests from today's episode included Rick Machado. Samir Amin was the head chef and was supported by sous chef Jack Madden. Dr. McFarlane is the resident faculty industry expert and guest coordinator. Digital production for the show was led by Moses Mack, who also hosted the show. Heard That was also created with the assistance of students from the AGC 290 Enterprise class who helped with direction, technical assistance, and editing. These students included Andrew Angulo, Chelsea Flood, Bella Anushian, Melissa Frago, Natalie Victorine, Yuri Ramirez, Jillian Schwang, Riley Lopez, and Tatum Neves. The 1, 2, 3s of Beef segment was created by Moses Mack, Anna Khan, and Chelsea Flood. Chelsea also presented the segment. Lead editor was Moses Mack. Heard That is a digital media collaboration involving 5 of the 9 departments in the College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Sciences at Cal Poly, including Food Science and Nutrition, Plant Sciences, Animal Sciences, Wine and Viticulture, and Agricultural Education and Communication. Heard That was recorded at the Aregia Family Foundation Culinary Lab at Cal Poly. These credits were read by me, Chelsea Ann.